welcome back to Doug's Cars. I wanted to do a little recap of my auction that I did on Cars and Bids a couple weeks ago. I've got the video playing behind me in case you haven't seen it. I'll also link to it up above so you can check out the M4 that I sold. Little background on the car in case you haven't seen the video yet. It was a 2015 BMW M4 manual, very low option car. It had the leather dash, full leather interior, the upgraded wheels and the adjustable suspension, and I added the factory Sirius XM upgrade as well. But other than that, no other options, so it was a pretty low option car. I had a fantastic experience with Cars and Bids, I must say. I even mentioned that on Twitter, and Doug DeMuro retweeted it, which was amazing. It's not something he normally does. Most of his Twitter content is original content, and so the fact that he did that brought me, of course, tons of new followers on Twitter as well. But that was really cool to see. He and I have gone back and forth on Twitter a few times in the past, so it wasn't a new thing, but it was really nice to have that kind of affirmation, as I'm sure he enjoyed the fact that I wrote that I had a great experience. I chose Cars and Bids for a couple reasons. One, I wanted to go through with it on an online auction. I'd never done one before. And Bring a Trailer would have been fine as well, but I've enjoyed watching Doug DeMuro for years now, and I trust him. And the trust was well placed because it sold well, in my opinion. You can argue with that if you want in the comments or with me on social media, but the car sold for $36,400. I've got some screenshots of the bidding going up. It was a pretty immediate bid of $10,000. And then I believe the same day went to $25,000. So at that point, the note I still had on the car was satisfied. And so I just kind of, leaned back and watched it for the next week. And I had a great interaction with their staff. They message you repeatedly throughout before the process and then during the process. And it did take me a while to get the car ready for sale. I wanted to have it detailed properly and cleaned. And then the detail guy also was a photographer. And so he took pictures of the car and, just working with his schedule and my schedule, it extended the process a bit, but I wanted the car to be presented well. And oddly enough, if you watch Doug DeMuro's Cars and Bids video from last week, he spent 2 minutes talking about my car, how it was well presented, how it sold well, and how I was happy with the procedure, which was absolutely true. It was kind of cool to see him talk about my car for 2 minutes out of like a 10-minute video when he does a weekly recap of all of the auctions. So like I said, it went for $36,400. You may be saying, that's a BMW M4. Why is it going for that little? Now, I wanted 35. Like that, I thought if I got 35 for this car, I was doing pretty well. So it went above what I kind of in my mind wanted for the car, which is of course fantastic. You want to get more than, and if you reach your goal and go beyond it, that's amazing, right? There had been an M4 that sold a couple weeks earlier, maybe a month or so earlier. It was a 2016, so it was a year newer, and it had all the options. It had a couple more cosmetic issues. Mine was cosmetically really good considering the age of the car and had been garaged, of course. And the mileage was similar. And mine, of course, was a manual, which I thought would bring some more money because the other was an automatic, but it was a year newer. And it had all of the options that mine didn't have, the driving aids and those kinds of things that mine didn't come with. So that went for $35,750, if memory serves me correctly. So I figured 35, it's a year older, but it is a manual, so that'll offset some of that. And it went for $36,400. And I'm quite happy with that. I believe the new owner was fine with that. He did it right. This guy's a younger guy. He's an automotive engineer up in Michigan, and he actually contacted me a couple days before the auction ended via carsandbids.com and said, hey, can we set up a time to talk tomorrow on the phone? And I said, absolutely. That was a great thing to do. And you want to know why? After that 40-minute conversation we had the next morning, he felt he could bid with confidence a higher amount because he talked to me about the car. And I make car videos as a side gig, right? So I'm gonna be knowledgeable about it, but it's also my car. Like I've had it for 3 years. I know everything about it. And sharing that information more than just the 115 pictures and the little blurb about, this is a 2015 M4 that was on the site, which is fantastic. And of course you have to do it But having that conversation, I think, made a difference for him, and I'm glad that we got to do that. And we ended up, of course, speaking several more times. He actually ended up winning the car, of course, and I'm glad that I had that connection. And then, of course, I've now met him. Of course, he came to get the car, and he drove it all the way back to Michigan without incident. Of course, I mean, it was in fantastic shape, and it was really cool to have that connection before the auction ended. And watching the auction go, the last few minutes, of course, where people are like kind of live chatting, and you watch the price go up, and then people, say get the popcorn out and they're clapping. It was just so much fun. I mean, I do that anyway on some of these auctions when I see something cool, but just have it on your own car, it was just exhilarating. And once I hit like that 35,000 that I kind of had set as my goal, and it kept going, I was just like, this is amazing. Crack open a beer, cheers. And it was just a great afternoon. And like I said, the staff was excellent. They asked the right questions. They told me things that I needed to do. I didn't have any pictures of the undercarriage of the car. Thankfully, the car was at my friend Chris's warehouse. I've made videos there before. He has a 4-post lift, which, while not super helpful when doing brakes, is super helpful for taking pictures of the underside of the car. And so that was one thing the staff asked me to do, was to take some undercarriage pictures. Happy to do that. Drove it right up on the lift, put it up in the air, snapped pictures all down both sides, down the middle. Of course, the undercarriage on the car is spotless. It's all covered up anyway, but it was just something, I'd only seen the underside once or twice myself. But now it's on the internet forever. I've got those pictures. I don't have the car anymore, but that's fine. It was an overall fantastic experience. If it's something that you're pondering, that you're not sure you want to do, I can tell you it's worth doing. The other thing that DeMuro mentioned in his Cars and Bids video that I did was I went no reserve. Now, does that help? I think so. You may not, and that's fine. I was like, I'm doing no reserve on this car. It'll sell, it will move on to a new home, which is my goal, and the loan I had left on the car was low enough that I didn't think that would be an issue. Like, I didn't think I'd be stuck forking out money above and beyond what I got paid for the car. And that was certainly not a problem at all. It went beyond that, like on the first day. If you're selling a car that's worth 40 grand and you owe 38, then maybe you don't want to do no reserve. You might want to have a reserve so you make sure you can cover that, unless you're going to pay for it out of your own pocket. But I had no thoughts that this would go for a stupid low amount, and I think DeMuro's even said, if it's going to sell for $1,000 on the site, I'm going to bid on it, because people recognize an excellent vehicle, and this really truly was. I mean, it had been a CPO when I bought it, and BMW never ever CPOs M cars. It was sold new at the dealer I got it from. There's 2 dealers in the town I live in that are actually the same company, but because they're spread out, there are 2 locations. And it was at the one that I didn't normally work with, and they brought it up to the other lot. And it had been sold new at that other dealership and serviced there. It's a 3-year lease, and then I had it for 3 more years, and I had it serviced there as well. Due to it having a year of factory warranty left and then a whole year of CPO on top of that, it really only was quote unquote unwarranted for the final year, which was also the year of COVID. So while I did drive it, and this has never been my daily driver, it was kind of more of a weekend fun, let's just go for a drive because we can't go anywhere thing back last spring. And then, it was definitely a garage queen. And I had my fun with that car. My friends had fun with that car. It was never tracked or anything like that, but we definitely enjoyed it. And now it's time for me to move on to something else. I'm not quite sure what that is yet, but guaranteed there will be videos coming on whatever that is. At the moment, I'm daily driving a 2006 Land Rover LR4 with 225,000 miles on it, which is always a wise choice. So again, I cannot speak high enough of Cars and Bids. I think they did a fantastic job. The fact that you don't have to pay a fee above and beyond the listing fee when the car is sold. I mean, like eBay, what do you have to pay? Several percent on the sale. Doesn't exist. 49 bucks to list it without a reserve. I think it's 89 with a reserve. You just can't beat that. And then that's it. I got the amount that it sold for in my name. I didn't have to give them any more money. Obviously, I paid for the detail and the pictures. Thanks, Brett. You did a fantastic job and helped me sell the car. I mean, it looked amazing, and it was just as amazing when the new buyer came to pick it up and drive away. And yeah, I mean, here's that. Bye, M4. Have a good life in Michigan. So yeah, that was kind of bittersweet, but it was so great to meet that couple and to know that they made it back safely. And he's messaged me several times saying just how more amazing it is than he could even imagine. And I just feel so happy that he's feeling that way about the car. It is a fantastic car. It was for me. It's just time for me to move on to something else, and I'll be doing that. So TLDR, use Cars and Bids. If you own a car outright or you're not upside down in it, definitely go no reserve. It will help you tremendously because people know the car is going to sell. I think the first comment on my car was no reserve on an M4. Wow. And then people commented that they couldn't believe that it sold for what they considered a low price. But the car is 6.5 years old. The build date was actually October 10th, 2014. So that's 6.5 years now. It's April. And yes, it was 70 grand new, but if it sold for more than half of that 6 years on, that's pretty good. I mean, that definitely reflects the condition of the car and the fact that it's an M model, because most 6-year-old cars are not going to sell for 50% of their purchase price when new. They're going to sell for 25%, maybe 30%, unless it's like a Tesla or something that came with like the full supercharging package and all that. So again, I am very happy with the way everything went, and I highly recommend it. So stay tuned and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done that, because there's going to be something to come replace that. But will it be a proper replacement or will it be something completely different? You'll just have to come back and find out. Thanks y'all so much for watching Doug's Cars. See y'all soon.